Welcome to another edition of the Go Noles podcast. I am your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my content comes from me, in my opinion. Other information comes from the internet. Virginia Tech, to me, is a trap game. Their defensive coordinator, Marv, is very familiar with us. So he's going to have some stuff planned for us. Their quarterback is 6'2", 230, big guy. They ran him 21 times the last game against Pittsburgh. So, I mean, if this is a game, you can't go out there, like you did against Boston College, or you're going to lose this game. The schedule sets up pretty easily. We don't know if the quarterback for Duke is going to be back for the game against them in Tallahassee or not, but Duke is a problem. This is not Duke from, 10 years ago. This is a gritty, hard-nosed, athletic, punch you in the mouth Duke team that played a close game against Notre Dame. But Virginia Tech, to me, presents those same kind of problems. They want to run the football and play defense. And their their quarterback is looking to run. And we've had issues with mobile quarterbacks. So, if you go out here sleepwalking, if you go out here lollygagging, if you think that they're going to lay down because you got the logo on your helmet, you're going to lose this game. So to me, you have to start fast on offense and defense and just put these guys away early. I don't really care where we're ranked now. It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter until the end of the month. That's when I care about the rankings, is when the college football playoff rankings come out, and we'll see where we are. But very emotional win over Clemson, and you had a week to get that out of your system and get locked in on Virginia Tech, and we owe these guys. Because the last time we played them in Tallahassee, it wasn't, it was the beginning of the end of sorts for the run that we had. So we owe these guys. And I know it's not the same regime, different coach, whatever. I really don't care, but it's still Virginia Tech at the end of the day. And I don't have any malice towards Virginia Tech. They're just the next team on the schedule, and we want to win. At the end of the day, a win is a win. I'll take it, but, you can't keep winning games like you've been doing. We need a dominant win over somebody. We got to go out here and dominate against somebody. I seen, where we're a 95% favorite. That's somebody's opinion, man. It doesn't mean anything. These guys are going to be hyped. Virginia Tech, those guys are going to be hyped to play Florida State, and they're gonna come out here and play this like it's their national championship. Okay, I want to say they're 2-3. I want to say they're 2-3. They've lost to Marshall. So, and no disrespect to Marshall, but we should dominate these guys if we come out and play our A game. There shouldn't be any room for thought when it comes to this game. So I look forward to domination. And George Travis, I hate this saying, and I hate when my quarterback has to do this, but just take what the defense is going to give you. Don't try to create a big play. You can't manufacture big plays. It has to happen organically in most cases. Now, you can do it by play design, but sometimes when it's not there. So, and sometimes the defense wins. And so you either have to take the sack or throw it out of bounds. Okay, and I really want the run game to get going. You know, this is not Trey Benson from last year. And I know teams are game planning for him. So the play calling, the offensive play calling has to be a little bit more creative. Okay? When you put Bell in the backfield and ran, the running game out of that formation, that was tremendous. And I want to say Marquise Douglas is a terrific lead blocker. And I don't know why we're not using him in that role. So there's definitely ways to get this running game going. And I just hope that we can use those methods. The running game has to be an essential part of this team to, hopefully make a playoff run and a national championship appearance. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm trying to think over the last 20 years, I can't really think of a team that didn't have a really good running game. Maybe that 2019 LSU team. But I'm pretty sure they had a pretty good running game. They just had those two receivers, Jefferson and your boy from the Bengals, Chase. That's really the only team I can really think of. And I'm trying to search my memory here. But not really. Pretty much every national champion has had a really good running game. So I just feel like it's just essential that we get these running backs on track in the run game if we're going to make a lot of headway for the lofty goals that, this team and the fans and the university have set for this season. I mean, the schedule sets up very nicely for a run, but, in the last couple of years, we've lost to teams that we shouldn't have lost to. And, we have to figure out some kind of way to, have that same, like whatever we do, whatever way that the players, I keep saying whatever way the players got hyped up for the LSU game, we need that same energy every game. Because I can honestly say just watching those two games against LSU last year and this year, they just came out with an energy like, we want to dominate. We want to show the country that the SEC ain't all that. And, I think that's the attitude that you have to have for every game. You can't have a letdown against Boston College. And definitely the Clemson Tigers, just because they had like a 8 year winning streak on us. So, I mean, definitely come into that game hyped up and ready to ball, but it just didn't seem like it. So I don't know what team we're going to get when they take the field against Virginia Tech. I don't know what team we're going to get, because I think motivation is still a area of improvement for Mike Norvell. I really feel like it is, because we've had some letdowns the last couple years. I give him all credit in the world for building his team. I give him and the offensive coordinator, I forget his name, I give him the credit for rebuilding that offensive line. I give the defensive staff credit for rebuilding that defense, getting the transfers. I give them guys all the credit in the world. But keeping these guys motivated has to be at the forefront. I really don't see any other way that you can get to a playoff or a national championship without keeping these guys motivated. And, it's just something that we have to really, really, really lock in on. Keon Coleman has been a pleasant surprise. We all thought Johnny Wilson was going to be the go-to receiver. It's turned out Keon Coleman is taking that spot. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't care who the top guy is. The only thing that matters to me is wins and losses. That's all that matters to me. I don't care about none of that stuff. I just want to see my team go undefeated, win an ACC championship, and then compete for a national championship. So Virginia Tech presents a lot of problems running the football. Their quarterback hit a receiver on a 60-yard pass. So we definitely know he can run and throw. And like I said earlier on in the podcast, we had our issues with mobile quarterbacks. So, hopefully the defensive staff can scheme up something to contain this guy. He's 6'2", 231, as I said earlier. So he had 21 carries against Pittsburgh. 21 carries. That's a lot for a quarterback. I don't care how big he is. So, this is a game that Florida State could lose if they come out there half-stepping. So they really need to, like I said earlier, lock in, man. Because these last 8 games, are going to be crazy. I wish we could have had our bye against either Miami or the Florida Gators, but, it never works out that way. So hopefully, we went out and we get to compete for a playoff spot and a national championship. I think a game like this is really going to tell you where this football team is as a program and how much Mike Norvell has evolved as a coach, because you're heavily favored. And you should win, just period. A win is a win. I don't care about margin of victory, and I don't care about style points. But you can control what you can control, and as a coach, you have to have the pulse of your team, and you have to get these guys hyped up to play. Those are the things that Mike Norvell can control. He can't control how Virginia Tech comes out. Because I guarantee you that Virginia Tech is going to come out and play a very hard-fought game. I mean, that's just their tradition. As far back as I can remember, I've never seen a Virginia Tech team just come and lay down for anybody. So you can expect a highly contested game. They're going to be awesome on special teams. That's a tradition at Virginia Tech. So for me, it just comes down to what my team does. And, let's just face it. We were very flat in the Boston College game. We were pretty good in the Southern Miss game. We were awesome in the LSU game. We were very competitive in the Clemson game. We were down pretty much the whole game, but we kept fighting. So I'm just really looking for that complete game, wire to wire, that we're just on. We're just on it. We're locked in, we're focused, and we dominate. That's the essence of Florida State football is just dominating teams, making them tap out. And we haven't had a game like that in a long time. It's been a long time since we've had a game like that. So, like I said earlier in the podcast, I think that the schedule sets up very nicely for us. I'm not sold on Miami. Every year it starts out good, and they lose a game they're not supposed to lose, and then the whole season bottoms out. That's been the story for Miami the last couple years, so we'll see what happens. But, I look at Miami and the Florida Gators a little bit different. I actually want them to be good. I actually want them to get talent and put great teams on the field. I want them to be at their best when we beat them. So there's no excuses. You can't blame it on the coach, the quarterback, the offensive line, the defense, whatever. I want them to get the best talent possible. I like beating those guys when they're at their best. So, like I said, I look at it a little differently. I think when Florida State, Miami, and Florida are on and they're, everything runs through those three schools for like a national championship, I think it just makes college football a better place, in my opinion. But I'm happy that we're number 5. I'm happy that we're relevant again. I'm happy that we beat Clemson. That was a major albatross around the neck of this team, this program, the fans. And I just hope that the powers that be within Florida State football can keep this thing alive and going well, so we don't have to go through another situation like we've gone through for the last several years of just not being competitive, not being good, and just, not getting good players. And, give Mike Norvell a lot of the credit. Give his coaching staff a lot of the credit. Give Coach Atkins a lot of the credit for getting help, being the main integral part of getting the offensive line rebuilt. Because, we had maybe the worst offensive line in Power 5. So I'm glad he got that turned around. To me, the offensive line is by far and away better than it was 3-4 years ago, but I still think there's a lot of room for improvement because we're not dominating teams. And like I said many times, we're putting the wrong people in the wrong positions. Like, if you're putting a guy at tackle and every time he goes against a halfway decent pass rusher, he's on rollerblades, you might need to reevaluate where you're putting guys. Right? I understand versatility. I understand he might be the best option available. But if he's not doing the job, then you got to try somebody else. Like, I really want to see what Julian Armella can do in a pressure situation. I want to just see what he does in a game situation against an Xavier Thomas. That's what I want to see. He's a 5-star. He's been sitting. When are we going to see this guy play? Now, I did watch the Virginia Tech-Pittsburgh game a little bit. I wasn't really overly impressed with Virginia Tech, and that's not a shot at them. But I know this Florida State team, if, if they're not locked in, bad things can happen. So, Mike Norvell's got to get it together here. And not that he doesn't already have it together. I'm just saying for this game, he has to get these guys, ready to go. I look at a team like Penn State. I look at a team like Ohio State. I look at Georgia. You don't see that. They don't come out flat. They come out and, it's all effort. I think as a coach, you can motivate your team to give 100% effort. I never played college football, but I just, the stuff in the locker room when the coach talks to the team, I think that's, in my opinion, I could be wrong, I think that's kind of the same at every level. Maybe it's different in the NFL, where the coaches don't really do a lot of motivational stuff because it's a job. But I think, Pee Wee football, junior high, high school, college, I think coaches motivate players, right? I think that's what happens. And players are either going to respond positively to it or they're not going to respond positively to it. And I think most players play football because they love the game. Now, I know there's some players out there that play for the benefits of playing football, the recognition, money, stardom, being famous, whatever. But I would like to think that most people play because they love the game. And, I can't help but think that most of the players on the Florida State football team love the game. And when you love the game, you take motivation and you channel it into great play. I mean, to me, that's one of the foundations of football. Motivation turns into positive play on the field if you're motivated. Effort. And, just the Boston College game, to me, there was a lot of questions about effort. No questions about effort in the LSU, Southern Miss, or Clemson game. I think they really came out there and said, hey, we're going to win those games. But I really felt like that team felt like Boston College was going to be a walkthrough. And I'm not saying Virginia Tech is similar to Boston College, but this is a game, if you come in and you thinking it's going to be a walkthrough, you're going to be disappointed. Because I promise you, Virginia Tech take pride in their game. They take pride in wearing that VT on their helmet. So, I just hope that these men, these football players for Florida State really come out and just say, we're going to dominate these guys. That's the hope. As I said earlier, Jordan Travis, a sack is a sack. If you have an opportunity to escape and, and the big play is not there, wide open, just throw it out of bounds, man. Don't throw the ball in the air. Don't try to be a hero. Just live to fight another day. A punt is not a bad thing. You got a pretty good defense. Let them do their job. Okay? Got to get Trey Benson on track. I want to see more Marquise than Douglas. I want to see more of Bell in the backfield as a blocker, running that little shotgun sweep with the split formation, shotgun split. I think that was a very good formation. Defensively, I want to see more blitzing. I think we got some very good blitzers on this team. In the secondary, I want to see better man-to-man coverage. Special teams, Fitzgerald still makes me nervous. I'm just going to be honest about it. The punter, very good. Jumping back on offense, wide receiver, I want to see Johnny Wilson catch everything. I think he had a lot of drop passes over these first 4 games. So I definitely want to see him get back on track and get back to last year's form where he was just dominating people. We got tons of experience in the wide receiver room. I just want to see all them guys get on and dominate. But most importantly, I think the offensive line, we got to find the best 5 to put out there. And I know we got a lot of transfers on that end at that position, those positions. And I hate to keep picking on this guy, but Darius Washington is not a tackle. And I wish they would quit playing him at tackle. Just look at the Xavier Thomas tape from the Clemson game. Just look at it. Get on YouTube and look at it. See when number 76 is out there. And just watch him go against Xavier Thomas. And you'll see why. And I've been saying this for 3 years now. So this is not new. I think if I had to predict this game, if Florida State comes out and gives you 100% effort from beginning to end, I could see 31-17. Because in every game this season, there has been a point or some kind of drive where Florida State has a lapse on offense and they have a lapse on defense. That's football. That's going to happen. Right? That's going to happen. But you don't want to have a lot of those. You want to have very minimal of those. The great teams, the well-coached teams, Georgia, Michigan, Penn State, Alabama, Ohio State, you don't really see a lot of that in games. You do see it, but it might be every 2 or 3 games that you see it. Most of your well-coached teams don't beat themselves. And that's what I'm requesting of Florida State. Don't beat yourself. Right? Make the other team do something extraordinary to beat you. In all phases of the game, be fundamentally sound. Know your assignments. Know your keys. And we got to play better. We went out and got these defensive tackles. And I know we're missing the dude from Miami, Jackson. And but even with that, we should be better against the run. We should not be letting teams run the ball up the middle at this point. We should be better against the run. So we got to improve our run defense because Shipley went off. I think they had 146 rushing yards to our 22. That can't happen. We're not going to the playoff. We're not going to the ACC championship with those numbers. It's going to catch up with you eventually. So you really have to fix that. This is the 499th episode. The 500 episode is coming up. That's going to be probably an instant reaction episode, and it's probably going to be a longer instant reaction because I'm going to reflect on the podcast and just memories throughout the podcast. But I'll do the instant reaction first. Man, I really appreciate the people that listen. You take time out of your life to listen to my monotone Florida State fan voice. I really appreciate it. Podcast is available on YouTube. It's available on all podcast platforms. And as always, go Noles.